Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Week 5 college football is in the books, and all in all, it was a fairly uneventful weekend. We had a couple huge upsets, a couple blowouts like the Alabama-Ole Miss game, Georgia-Tennessee, and Ohio State-Rutgers. But in the end, the rankings really were not shaken up that much, and the teams that were supposed to win ended up winning, except for a few. I have a few comments I'd like to share before we get into the Week 5 recap, like we've been doing these past few weeks. So we're just going to start real quick. Regarding the Washington State-USC game, which was a major victory for the Cougars there. I ended up picking that game correct. I picked the Cougars to beat the USC Trojans. They prevailed 30-27 in a thriller. Josh Arena said, "Kid, you are effing stupid. USC will not lose to Wazoo. Stick to wearing crappy clown costumes." Okay. Regarding Tennessee, keep in mind, Tennessee lost 41-0 to Georgia. Tennessee fans, Samford scored more points on Georgia than you did. And Samford was at Georgia. Let's keep that in mind. Ryan Matheny says, "LOL, you have no clue what you are talking about. Good try." I'd also like to point out that through 5 games, or through 1 month of college football, I have predicted every game correct on Tennessee's schedule. I predicted them to go 3-2 with the losses to Florida and to Georgia. So I think I have a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about there. Jason Fleener says, this is hilarious, "We're going 10-2 this year with losses to Bama and LSU. You don't take into the fact that every team is going to sleep on us. Please take down your YouTube channel." Well, it's going to stay up for a little while longer, considering you already have 2 losses to Florida and Georgia. If you want to tack on the Bama and LSU loss, then you'll be up to 4 losses. I had you going 7-5, which I'm sure you'll slip up somewhere along the way. Sam Arnold says, "You don't know what you are doing, and you are high." Maybe so, Sam Arnold. Maybe so. And Munchie says, "I'm a gridiron retard." It's pretty good, too. Very clever. And that's really all I have to say. It was a pretty short one this week. I would like to give a special thanks to just a few YouTubers, Emperor of Rome, Rampaging Beef, MavFan1, Syracuse Orange, Alex Brooks, Robert Hooven, and everybody else who has been supportive along the way, has maybe retaliated to some of these guys, or have supported the page since we started back in June and July. So I really do appreciate you guys. And if I didn't list you there, I want you to know I do appreciate you as well. Just wanted to throw that out there. And thank you, Syracuse Orange, for that idea. I really appreciate that. And now we're going to start our real Week 5 recap real quick. Show you guys how I did this week. This was by far my best week statistically, picking games. Week 5 has been great, 30-4 with an 88% winning percentage. My 4 games I missed was Maryland over Minnesota. I predicted Minnesota to win that one. And to me, that was a kind of a minor upset. Maryland was dealing with their 3rd-string quarterback. Minnesota was coming off a bye week, and it was at Minnesota, so I expected the Golden Gophers to not easily take care of Maryland, but definitely not lose that game. So I was very surprised by that. I did pick, for some reason, thinking back on it, don't know why, I did pick UNC to defeat Georgia Tech on the road. UNC has just been a train wreck this season. I think they're 1-4 now. Georgia Tech ended up winning that game, but that was one I also missed. I missed the BYU-Utah State game. I assumed BYU, back in the preseason, would be able to take care of Utah State, even though it was on the road. BYU, just like North Carolina, is a huge train wreck. I also think they're 1-4. A lot of people thought BYU, in my comments at least, thought that they were going to go undefeated, 11-1, 10-2. Was telling somewhere along those lines. Not even close. I had them having 4 losses. Definitely not this early, but that is a bit of a shocker. And then one that I don't think anybody, maybe in the nation, picked correctly was LSU losing to Troy. That was probably the biggest upset of the weekend, more so than Washington State's win over USC. Troy went into Death Valley at night, which we all know is usually a very tough place to play. Upset the Tigers 24-21, and that was just amazing to me. I knew Troy had a very good offense, but I figured LSU was going to be able to take care of business there. I know they struggled against Mississippi State, beat bad, struggled a little bit against Syracuse at home. Lost. I think they won that game by 9, but no one I think thought they were going to lose to Troy at home. So Ed Orgeron is definitely, I think, on the hot seat now, because down in LSU, down in Baton Rouge, they expect immediate success, and I don't blame them. Losing to a Sun Belt team in the SEC is not acceptable by any means. So 30-4 this week. Those were the games I missed. Everything else was correct. That brings our overall record to 202-45 on the season. Not bad for almost to the halfway point. That's if you want to round up, that's 82% correct. Definitely not bad at all. I'm pretty happy with that for the most part. Teams trending down don't want to be SEC biased again, but these are teams that after watching them this weekend, I do feel like they're definitely on a downhill slope. LSU, I just addressed, losing to Troy and Mississippi State 2 times out of the last 3 weeks. They got that win over Syracuse in between there. Offense is definitely the problem. I know Darius Geis has been battling an injury, but I don't think one player makes up an entire team. I know a quarterback injury could definitely affect them, although an injury to Danny Etling might not be the worst thing in the world for LSU right now. But things are not looking good down in Baton Rouge. Tennessee, already addressed them. They lost to Florida, got a break there between UMass, beat them, and then got annihilated by Georgia at home. That was a horrible, horrible loss. And I think they're on the downhill slope too. That's already 2 losses for a team that I think some people thought they could maybe compete in the SEC East. Right now, I do think it's a 2-team division race between Florida and Georgia. Florida getting the win over Vanderbilt, and Georgia obviously beating Tennessee. So that game, when they face off, I think that's on October 28th, that could easily decide who wins that division. And then Mississippi State, just a few weeks ago after their win over LSU, I had them on the teams trending up. Now they're back on the teams trending down. They went on the road to Georgia after that win over LSU, only managed 3 points in a 28-point loss there, and then they went on the road to Auburn. I know they're very tough environments, but I think they only scored 10 points there, lost 49-10. Some embarrassing losses for Mississippi State for a team that I think a lot of people thought after that win over LSU could compete in the SEC West. Definitely not the case now with 2 conference losses. I think they're definitely out of the race. Teams trending up, Washington State. I got to say, I was pretty proud of that picking them early on in the season to defeat USC. That was a huge win for Mike Leach and company there. A thrilling win. If you didn't watch the game, I recommend you go watch the highlights. Washington State ended up stripping Sam Darnold there at the end, forcing a fumble and recovering. Probably one of the biggest wins in their program's history, especially under Mike Leach. They are definite Pac-12 title contenders now, I think. They're number 11 in the new AP poll. Huge game against Oregon next week on the road. That's going to tell a lot about this Washington State team. If it was just luck, like Mississippi State. I don't think it was luck for Mississippi State, but was it just kind of, benefit of the doubt? I'm very curious to see how they play against Oregon, because Oregon is a very tough environment. That's going to be a night game, I believe. So we're going to have to wait and see how that goes. But if they get a win over Oregon, watch out, because I think that game against Washington, assuming they run the table, that's going to be huge for Pac-12 and college football playoff consideration. And then Notre Dame, I got a comment from somebody saying, why isn't Notre Dame on the trending up? Now you are. I believe Notre Dame's 4-1 now after that loss to Georgia in the second week of the season. They've won 3 straight. Haven't really won over anybody major. I think they got a win over Boston College. That was probably their biggest one. I think they beat Miami of Ohio this past week. Next game's against a struggling North Carolina team. The matchup that everybody needs to be keeping their eye out for is Notre Dame and USC. That'll be a huge one, especially if neither team has lost again up until that point. So Notre Dame's definitely on the trending up. I think they're 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there in the new AP poll. Definitely trending up, and if they can snag a win over USC later on in the season, they could be looking at a New Year's Six bowl berth for sure. So those are my 2 teams that I have trending up. Next week, I'm going to have some teams that are trending up, trending down for the halfway point of the season. Next week's week 6. We'll be halfway there, so we'll have to see what happens. But this has been a very solid week 5. Most teams won that should have won, so I was very pleased with that. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I expect week 6 to be a lot better, back to the craziness that we all love of college football. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. And please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.